Hi there and welcome back to my channel. This is Sean, the Honest Book Reviewer, with another book review. In this video we're discussing The Potted Gardener, written by MC Beaton. It's the third book in the Agatha Raisin series. It's the Cozy Mystery series and the series that I love. I love the Agatha Raisin character. And this book is so fun. It's very enjoyable. It brings Carsley, so it's the village in the book, to life even more. There are two mysteries in this book. They're good mysteries. Unfortunately, the conclusion of one of the mysteries I didn't enjoy that much. That spoiled it for me a little bit, but just the Agatha character, other characters in the village, just the fun in this story makes it worth reading. Agatha has returned from another holiday, but while she's away, things have changed in the village. There's a newcomer into the village called Mary Fortune, and Mary is described as being quite glamorous, very attractive. She dresses well, she's very charming, she makes friends with all the villagers. She seems just, the light of the party with the village. All the people in the village really like her. And unfortunately, Agatha finds out that James has a thing for Mary, has the hots for her, and she starts to learn that James and Mary had a bit of a fling while Agatha was on holiday. So of course, Agatha is quite upset about that because she has got feelings for James. So what does Agatha do? She sets out to be a competitor. She's going to reel in James and she's going to make sure that people in the village don't like Mary. So that's where we get some of this competitive nature coming out of Agatha again in this story. Agatha finds out that James and Mary are both in the horticultural club in the village. She decides to join, even though she's not a green thumb, doesn't like gardening at all. But knowing Agatha, she dives in head first and she orders a greenhouse and she decides to join the club and also start planting out her own seeds, raising her own plants and creating her own garden. She does this quite well with a bit of help, but she does it, and I think people are surprised that she's done so well with her plants. But when she goes to plant them out, she ignores advice. She's told there'll be a frost, but she's going to plant them out anyway. When she does, all the plants die. And at this stage in the book, we learn about a garden contest in the village, an open garden contest and day in the village. There's no prize money as a trophy, and Agatha wants to join because she's picturing what that trophy will look like on her mantle. So with her plants all dead, and she doesn't want to let anybody know that she's killed all her plants because she'll be embarrassed. She doesn't know what to do. She gets a phone call from Roy, and Roy we met in the first book, and Roy was one of her employees when she owned her own PR firm. Roy now works for somebody else, for the person who bought Agatha's PR firm, and recall in this series, the person who bought Agatha's firm sacked everybody except for Roy and closed down Agatha's PR firm. So Agatha wasn't happy about that, but she still kind of likes Roy. Sometimes she doubts that she's friends with Roy, but they seem to get on okay most of the time. Roy's calling her up because he wants Agatha to work for the PR firm for 6 months on a 6-month contract. Agatha doesn't really want to do that, but Roy sweetens the deal. If Agatha signs up for the 6-month contract, he'll ensure that before the garden contest, someone arrives from a nursery with all new plants to plant in her garden, so she has an instant garden if she wants it. Now put a high fence around her garden as well, so nobody can see into the garden. So she agrees because of that, because she wants to show up Mary Fortune. This is where the crimes start happening in the story. Now usually in a book, I prefer crimes to start happening early on in the piece. And it takes a while for the crimes to occur in this book. But in these books, where they've got great characters, a great setting, a great village setting, I don't mind it because the characters are so fun. There are two crimes. The first crime is somebody's going around and sabotaging gardens. And these are gardens that are listed to be in the open garden contest. And there's just small things happening for every garden, but it's going to ruin the gardens, people think. And then Agatha and James go to check on Mary Fortune. I don't know if they're going to accuse Mary of being the culprit or not, but they go to see her anyway. When they get there, the door's open. They can't hear Mary in the house. They go inside and walk around and they find something shocking in the greenhouse. They find Mary dead. I won't describe how they find her, but it's one of the most imaginative things I've seen for a crime scene in a cozy mystery. And I still think that this is the second time I've read this book, and I still think it's so imaginative for this crime scene. Anyway, they find Mary Fortune dead, so of course she can't be responsible, they think, for damaging other people's gardens. But now the second mystery is who killed Mary Fortune, because it's obvious that it was a murder. I won't say anything else about the plot. I'm not going to give away anything that leads to who the culprit is for any of those crimes, but I'll just say that this is so much fun in this story. Agatha investigating this crime, I think, is the most fun I've seen for Agatha for the first 3 books in the series. Also, the return of some other characters, and ones that stick out in my mind are the Boggles. And we met the Boggles in the first book, Mr. and Mrs. Boggle, who are a retired couple. They live, I think, in the council estate near the village, but they're a couple that just want things for free, I think, all the time. But they also want people to drive them around everywhere. And they want holidays or day trips, and they try to rope people in and guilt people in to driving them for these day trips. And in the first book, Agatha had to. She got guilted into doing it. And now she tries to avoid it. So whenever she talks to the Boggles, she's always thinking in her mind, got to get out before they try to make me drive them somewhere. And that makes for some great moments in this story. It's so hard in a series that I know it's a long-running series to talk about characters, because sometimes you just think, what character will I talk about? Will I talk about a character again? Will I talk about new characters? And for these books, in these long-running series, sometimes you have to talk about the victim as a character. So the first character I'll talk about is Mary. So Mary is the victim and the newcomer into the village. She's an interesting character because at first we feel sorry for her when Agatha is being a bit mean to her, but then we start to see a difference in Mary. She's mean herself. She says nasty things to Agatha. She says nasty things about other people in the village. So we wonder, what is the true character of Mary? Then she's the victim. So in a lot of these books from MC Beaton, it's the person who puts a few people offside who becomes the victim. And why? Because it opens up a lot of suspects. So a fairly obvious choice for victim. It's interesting that we've got another character, another female character, that's a competitor for James's attention. So that's happened in the previous book, The Vicious Vet, and also in this book, The Boggles. I have to mention them together, Mr. and Mrs. Boggle, because they're so much fun. And to be honest, if I knew them, I'd be trying to avoid them as well a bit, because I wouldn't want to drive them around as well. Because Agatha had that in the first book in the series. She had to drive them on a day trip, and they just want everything. Agatha had to buy their lunch, had to drive them here and there. They were a nightmare. And now they're always trying to get Agatha to drive her around again somewhere else. But they're interesting because just some of their one-liners in this book are very funny. And they make comments about other people in the village as well in this book. So I do like the Boggles very much. The vicar, Mr. Bloxby. We see a bit more of him in this book. Previously it feels like he's in the background, like an off-scene character. But in this book he has a couple of scenes. And there's one scene where he's talking to James, I think, in this story. And we get to understand more about the vicar. But what we understand is he seems a bit cold. He seems a bit standoffish for a vicar. You think a vicar in a small village would be more friendly, more open to people, but he seems very closed off. That's interesting because Mrs. Bloxby is different. She's very open. She's very friendly, but the vicar is not. The Potter Gardener is a welcome addition to the Agatha Raisin series, which is, of course, a long-running series. I enjoy this series a lot, and I really do enjoy Agatha Raisin as a character, and I'm aware a lot of people out there don't like her as a character, but I do enjoy her. Even though she's very acerbic at times, she can be cruel at times to people, that's part of her, and it's part of, I guess, her charm in a way, because you understand when you get to know this character that that's not all she is. She's a nice character as well, and a caring character. She's all different things combined. And I do love Agatha Raisin as a character. I rate this a 4 out of 5. It's a great book. Just the conclusion of the main mystery just was disappointing to me, but I enjoyed the whole investigation. I enjoyed that inventive scene where you find the body. I enjoy so much in this story. And I'm hoping that as I go through this series, because of course, It's not the first time I've read these books. As I go through them, I'm hoping that I enjoy them all as much as I did the first time. On my channel, I review many cozy mysteries. If you enjoy cozy mysteries, check out my channel and subscribe. There's also Agatha Raisin playlist on my channel. It should be on your screen now.